All right, so this is op-ed week. So I actually got a couple of emails from folks last week thinking about topics you might cover for your op-ed, which is fantastic. I'm glad that you were thinking about that in advance. So for this piece, this is really your chance to express opinion. So we try to keep a lot of that out of professional writing, obviously, especially when you're writing something like a news release. But here, it's your opportunity to express opinion. But you have a very important responsibility to make sure that you do this in an ethical way by showing that you are grounding this in research, in fact, or sometimes through firsthand experience with that. And that doesn't mean yours, right? This is your organization, because everything we're doing in this class is on behalf of your organization. So with your op-ed, you need to come up with some important issue for your organization. So this could be a political issue. This could be something like what you did with the midterm exam, where we looked at the EpiPen increase in cost, right? And this is the healthcare issue as well as a political issue. It's a financially restraining policy, right? That makes it difficult for people to have access to a life-saving medication, so things like that, which would make sense for, obviously, an organization that works with low-income children, but obviously would probably not work fairly well for an organization that works with, rehoming animals or something like that, right? Doesn't make sense. So it needs to make sense for your organization. So the first thing to think about is, what's the mission of your organization, right? What is it that you're seeking to accomplish within society? And then around that, are there any issues that come up that are in conflict with your organization's mission? That you would say, hey, I'm working with this organization and we're trying to make sure that all children are able to see a doctor and have access to the care that they need. Well, if those children have a life-threatening allergy and they don't have the money to pay $600 for an EpiPen, is that a problem that we need to be able to address here and say publicly, this is where our organization stands on this, but not just this is really bad and people are really evil, but grounding this in, hey, we serve this many people. Of this many children that we serve, this is how many have life-threatening allergies and need to be able to access this. This is what it costs. This is what the income looks like. This is how the people that we serve are under the poverty line, right? And so therefore, this costs more than a month of daycare. This isn't an accessible product. Whereas prior to this jump in cost, it cost, I forget, like $35 or something like that, something that made this accessible. So you would be looking at things like that and grounding it in that data, grounding it in that research that you may have, that your organization may have, as well as other data that's out there, right? So if this is a health issue, probably the Journal of the American Medical Association may have published some work on this, which would be a really good place to pull in some of that research and be able to demonstrate that this is an ethically sound and well-researched, grounded argument. You should be able to do this concisely. It shouldn't take you more than 750 words. Now, it should definitely take you more than 300. So aim for that 750 words is about a good length for this article, but you don't need it to be any more than that. That's just my warning, is that you don't want to do like a 300 word, or you're not going to be very well grounded. So think about things that are current issues that affect your organization, and typically you'll be able to come up with some important issues, because this is especially for those of you working in nonprofits, that's the reason these exist. It's because there are disparities within the government and for-profit centers, and that's sectors, and that's why nonprofit organizations work to meet these unfulfilled needs, right? So think about what the issues that you want to talk about, and make sure you provide the history that we need. So make sure that you do show us the history of the issue, how this issue came to be, because you'll need to be able to show us. This is your opportunity, whereas a news release has to be short and there's not a lot of room for you to put in anything superfluous here. You're going to have to show us what the problem is, right, before you go into offering ways that this situation can be changed or improved. So you do need to be able to demonstrate, this is what the issue is, here's why it became an issue. Think about this, if you go way back to public speaking, as a problem, cause, solution framework, right? So here's the problem, here's why it became a problem, what things came to be in order to create this issue. But here's what really ought to be done in order to make it, to remedy this problem to some extent. So here's what we offer that needs to be put in place, what needs to be advocated for. So you are expressing an opinion, you're expressing an opinion on behalf of your organization's standpoint. It's got to be very well researched, and then and make sure you show us that too. So like you would, and think about this like you would in a speech, right? So when you try to get this published, it's not like you're going to have like your reference list of 30 references at the end of it. No one's going to publish that, but you should put it in there to show where you gathered this information from, whether that's from your organization or from research that you've read. Make sure that you are offering something sensible, nothing over the top, nothing outrageous. Make sure that you do this as a way of showing that the only reasonable way to address this issue is through the solution that you're offering. Make sure that you are very clear about what your standpoint is on this and what you are advocating for, that you're not just saying, so something needs to be done, I think, right? Or, maybe this is an issue we could consider. Make sure that you're very clear about, no, this is my stance, this is my position, this is what needs to be done. You need to be able to articulate that authoritatively while still grounding it in very sound research, obviously. Other than that, make sure it's an AP style, you're doing a spelling and grammar check, make sure there's no plagiarism involved, and also make sure that your tone is as always, writing to the average reader. So as you do bring in all of this research, make sure that you presented it in a way that is accessible to your average reader. I've got got an article that you can take a look at that can provide some additional help with you sort of deciding on your issue and how you want to approach it, as well as some examples that you can take a look at as you see fit on the assignment PowerPoint. But other than that, like I said, some of you have asked questions about, is this a good topic? And if you do have those questions, let me know. I'm happy to work with you to figure out something that would be useful for this assignment that you can, eventually put into a portfolio for, job market purposes. So happy writing, and I will hopefully hear from some of you relatively soon.